Hi guys, how's it going? Jono here. I'm going to do a bit of a longer video today on the aquaponics system. So if you don't want to watch the whole thing, that's okay, I don't mind. But if you do, it's going to include more detail on the whole system in general, and it's going to include all the things that are growing and the potential upgrades, well, the upgrades that I am going to do on the system in the near future. Enjoy. Alright, seems Yoshi wants to help out with this video today, receiving a petting. So the first thing I want to talk about is obviously the pump. Every aquaponics system has to have a pump. Okay, so the pump that I have is one of these guys. It is a dynamic power, 3000 litre per hour, 55 watt, with a maximum head height of 3 meters. It was listed under this long title on eBay, and I really like this pump because it does come with a lot of little attachments that come off the top, and you can regulate the flow that comes in from the sump tank into, or wherever you're plumbing your pump into the pump itself. And it does have this nice green as well, which stops a lot of bigger bits and pieces going into your pump. At the moment this pump is doing really well, but if I need to build a vertical grow system on the back of this shed, then I might need to get a bigger pump because the head height might not be enough to reach where I need it to. Alright, so the second thing that comes off the pump is the solids filtration, and this is a really important part of the aquaponics system, because if you don't filter out your fish poop solids, they end up in the grow beds, and when they end up in the grow beds, it's my understanding that you end up with anoxic zones that keep building up from the bottom. Sorry about the cutaway. This is from mythconception.net.au. You can read the whole thing if you want, because I think it is really good information. And it says here, nitrates, when exposed to low dissolved oxygen levels, can be converted by bacteria back to nitrites. At certain concentrations, nitrites, like ammonia, are toxic to fish. As the solids, or the residue of spent solids, build up, anaerobic patches are created within the grow beds. This leads to denitrification, which in turn causes the pH of the system to rise. With high concentrations of ammonia, diminished oxygen levels, and rising pH levels, we have the circumstances for a fish kill. And I don't like killing fish. So yes, solid filtration, need it. Okay, so for the solids filtration, I have a 200 litre drum with a 25 litre bucket inside that. The water comes up from the pump in through this melted PVC angle I made, and comes out through this first tee and also through this second tee to create radial motion in the first bucket. It's off right now, but the water then overflows through this pipe, goes down, and then gets pushed off to that in the anti-clockwise direction again to create another swirl in the bigger barrel. And as you can see, hopefully, there is some fish solids in the top and there is some down in the bottom. So it's working to a degree. I can siphon the fish poop out from the top bucket quite easily, but for the bottom I have to do an upgrade where I'm going to put a funnel to catch all those solids, so I can easily just turn the tap down the bottom and flush them out, save a bit of water that way as well. Because at the moment siphoning the solids out from the bottom of the barrel is a really difficult task, so that'll be the next upgrade. Okay, so the next part of the system is the biofiltration. I have a moving bed biofilter in another 200 litre barrel. At the moment I think I have 50 litres of K1 biomaterial in there, which is just these small bits of plastic shaped like a wheel, and it has a large surface area. It's quite light and you cannot see, but there is bacteria growing in there because of its off-white colour. So they go in there, and that is being powered by a water bottle with an air line coming from my air pump. So surprisingly it works really well. It is just a plastic water bottle with small holes drilled in the sides all the way along, I guess, the midline, and yes, a hole drilled in the top of the lid to seal it all up, and a brick that I just had around and tied together with a bit of string. And this is doing really well. I am getting some air stones, but this is doing the job for now. Oh, and another thing I have to do for these filters, I got to make some lids for them. This is just not cutting it. Alright, so the next part of the aquaponics system is where the water splits. The water splits down into the deep water culture. And because the flow is regulated by this valve that I have protected by this old fish food holder to protect from UV damage, it overflows down in through this vertical drip system, which is filled with, well, there's a bit of sponge in there, but there's also some other biomedia I had from another system a long time ago, which are just big plastic bio balls, as they call them. And that bucket is half full. The bottom bucket is 100% full, and that drips back down into the sump tank. Alright, so the deep water culture, it wasn't working in the beginning, and that's because I didn't have the filters set up. And usually I think you're actually supposed to put your deep water culture after your grow beds, because the grow beds will be filtering out the rest of the fish poop that these filters are not filtering out to stop them from clogging up the roots of the plants that are growing. What had happened was the roots were being clogged up by the fish solids that were being trapped in here when I didn't have my proper filters set up. The plants weren't getting the nutrition they needed, so you can see that the leaves are yellow, and the roots, I mean, this is looking a lot better now because it's actually starting to grow with the new filters put in place, but the roots were quite brown and disgusting. But now you can see that there's some white bits poking through, and you can see that some new leaves are growing through there. So you can see the old, you can see the new. Still not 100%, but a lot better. I'm going to get some new styrofoam rafts, and I'm going to change these strawberry cups out for some bigger cups, and hopefully that might help lock in some more nutrients around the root base in the beginning of the plant's life. Yeah, it might help them grow a bit quicker as well. Alright, so one of the more recent upgrades that I think has really helped the deep water culture is the addition of this small particle filter. Square plastic bucket, don't know how many litres it is, but it fits in quite well. This bag of pebbles that's holding down some bird netting that's just been smooshed down there. Beyond that is some fine filter material that I just got from the local pet store. So the water comes in from the biofilter, and it still has some solids in it. I know that because I have to clean this out every couple of days. And it comes through and comes down into this vertical pipe that's just loosely sitting down there to direct the water down to the bucket, and the water has to flow all the way through and up the bird netting, and then through the filter material, and then down through this vertical standpipe that goes down through the bucket and out to the deep water culture. And so this has been filtering out all the small particles of fish poop that also could cling to the roots. So after the deep water culture, the water overflows underground and up into the grow beds. The grow beds are doing pretty well. I don't like this river rock. It's too big. I think it's 20mm to 50mm pieces, and it does work, but it's very difficult to plant and transplant your plants into. So one of the future upgrades I want to do is change out this water feeding system into the grow beds and change it to individual pipes with valves on them, so I can control the water flow into each grow bed easily and have it less ugly. So I'm going to have them popping up on the back side of each of the grow beds so that the water can travel from the back all the way through to where the easy tea siphons are up at the front. So like I said, the grow beds are doing really well. I think our favourite definitely is these spring onions. You can see that they've been growing pretty much double my hand span, so it's a good 1.5 foot maybe. And you can see that they grow to a good finger width as well, which is awesome. We hack away at them all the time in bits and pieces, and we also chop them at the bottom and they just regrow as well. These ones are getting a bit old and tired. These ones have actually been here for about a year. I have planted some new ones and they do look a bit healthier. They're a little bit darker in colour and they grow a lot faster. I also have some more that I recently planted over there and they're doing really well too. So the other things we have in here are strawberries. They're starting to come out really good. See one down here, and they're flowering and they're pretty happy. And this is silver beet. It's not as dark as what I would like to be. I do supplement the system with some iron and magnesium and also some liquid seaweed, and that seems to help, but yeah, not as dark green as what I'd like it to be. Over in the corner there we got some leeks, and there's one over here too, and they take a little while to grow, but they're pretty cool when you get to harvest them. Over on this side we have a cherry tomato of the yellow variety. You can see the size. That's a good 2.5 centimeters in diameter there. Pretty nice. It's flowering, it's growing more. Okay, we got some tired looking kale here. We have hacked this thing to death pretty much and it's ready to be pulled out. So pulling something out is quite as easy as literally pulling it out and just giving it a good shake. Make sure you got all the rocks out and make sure none of the earthworms are in there, which there isn't. And we'll eat the rest of the leaves off that too. So I also have a zucchini in here and it's doing two things at once. It's trying to grow bigger and it's also trying to grow zucchinis. So some of the zucchinis are getting reabsorbed back in the plant to grow some more leaves. Zucchinis that are growing are getting bigger and bigger. So I'm just letting it do its thing. We have some more silver beet in here. It's doing okay. I planted some capsicums in here just through the winter and they haven't done so well. They actually pretty much died all the way back and have only just recently started to sprout again. The weather has become a little bit warmer. So hopefully they spark back up again in the spring and the summer. Another sad winter story was this blueberry. The leaves started to become a deep maroon colour and I looked into it and I found out that it was a magnesium deficiency. So I did put more magnesium in the system, but that didn't help. I feel that the problem was the water was just too cold through the winter. It was at 15 degrees centigrade and that's probably just too cold for this plant. There might be other varieties out there that can handle a cooler temperature, but as you can see, it's now late winter and it's starting to come back to life and the leaves are mostly green. So yeah, I'll be adding some more magnesium to the system and we'll see how that goes too. Down in here we have some lemon seedlings that have sprung to life. I'm going to plant them out in some pots as they get bigger. And also this grow bed is filled with a finer gravel. It's a lot nicer than the other side. The parts are a bit sharper than the river rock, but technically this is river rock as well, but it's just crushed down into a smaller size. I think this was between 10 and 20 millimeter river rock gravel. Another very important part of this system is the air pump. I've actually only just recently got this. I bought this guy off eBay. It was under the logo of Morrow, but it is actually an ACO-002. It is a 35 watt 40 litre per minute air compressor, and at the moment that is only running my biofilter, but I plan to add another line to the fish tank as well when my new air stones come too. I would definitely suggest, if you have a bigger system, I'd go for the bigger power as well, not the 40 litre per minute. I'd go for the bigger one, just in case you wanted to run more fish tanks or pump some air into your deep water culture as well. And to suspend the pump, this is all I had around. I just got some of this galvanized wire, cut off a bit, twisted it up to make it a bit stronger and made a bit of an S shape. And found a little hole underneath here that can sit from, and just hang that guy up there like that. And it means he doesn't move around, and there's going to be less sound because it's not vibrating off any other surface. The last thing I have to talk about is obviously the fish tank. It is a 1000 litre IBC tote or tank, whatever you want to call it. And I have installed a viewport, and it was made from some perspex that was lying around. Alright, so what I did was I cut out the hole in the IBC to fit this framing that already exists. And I made sure that the perspex had an overlap of 30 millimeters or 1.5 inches, thereabouts. And I used aquarium grade silicone on the inside and made sure it was a big, thick layer and squished it on. And I let that dry, and then I pre-drilled these holes, put some more silicone inside, and screwed on these stainless steel nuts and bolts, basically. In the beginning, it did leak. Without this bit of wood, the IBC container did buckle and flex out, and it may have caused some micro tears through the silicone down the bottom here, and I had a couple leaks. And leaks are not good in systems. A drip a second is countless of litres of water per hour. So if you're going to do this, make sure that your silicone and the whole frame is supported quite well, especially down the bottom here with the frame, because yeah, otherwise you run into leaky problems. And I'm really lucky that I was actually able to fix the leak from the outside by just sitting here for a couple of minutes with my finger on it with some silicone and waiting for it to cure up. Very lucky. Yoshi, you found a ball, huh? Wanna play fetch? Fetch. Yoshi thinks that playing fetch is his job, and he's very good at it. The next expansion upgrade that I want to do is I actually want to set up a vertical tower system on the back of this shed. It is facing north, so it's a fantastic spot to expand to. It's not going to take up too much room because it's going to be flush against the shed itself. I'm going to build a frame, probably out of wood. I might be able to attach it to the shed, but I don't know. I might have to build some extra support for it. And I'm going to DIY some PVC grow towers with net cups in them and see how that goes. And that's going to be all collected down the bottom, and then I'll have to do some drainage back to the sump tank. And I'm going to fill them with strawberries and lettuce and kale and herbs. Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe if you want to see more. And eat well and live long. See ya.